Moin Whisky-Fans, willkommen bei den Malt Mariners. Ich bin gerade an der Westküste von Schweden und ich bin nochmal zu Gast bei
Per Kaldenby at Smögen Whisky.
Und falls ihr die Tour noch nicht geguckt habt, das Tourvideo, schaut auf jeden Fall das Tourvideo an. Und jetzt stelle ich ein paar Fragen an Per und ich bin sehr, sehr gespannt, was Smögen noch alles außer interessanten Whisky für uns bereithält. Do you think that there is a Swedish whiskey profile?
In all honesty, not quite, no.
Do you think there's you're on the way of creating like a national profile, or do you think it's really far away from that?
I mean, just like in Scotland, Scotland is a smaller country than Sweden, and there are geographical differences in Sweden, and even more so there's a difference in aspired character between the distilleries as well. So I would say we're as widely ranged as all the Scottish sort of regions, and probably toss in Ireland as well. I wouldn't say there's one particular Swedish style. If there is a Swedish sort of character, it would be that it's quite nerdy,
yeah,
and aiming for quite a bit of character.
Yeah.
At least most of us are, and obviously we don't produce for blends in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
So we're all about sort of really hitting the mark as single malts.
So would you say then that Swedish whiskey maybe equals in terms of nerd whiskey? I don't know. Sounds like that a bit?
More or less, yeah.
It's an interesting approach, because the distilleries that I only visited one official distillery in Sweden right now, and that was High Coast just a week ago for the festival.
Yeah.
I drove by McMura, which is closed right now, obviously.
Yes.
And I tried Gotland whiskey before, not on site, but I tried it at a friend, and I was quite impressed with that. So from a very limited perspective that I have on Swedish whiskey at the moment, I would definitely agree from a world whiskey nerd image of what I would look at Swedish whiskey.
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, you mentioned High Coast, and that was started just as Smögen was started by myself as a whiskey enthusiast. So they were started by enthusiasts as well. And Roger, who's the distillery manager there, he's certainly very nerdy in the best of ways.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
In the best of ways.
Yes. It was the last interview that I did before I spoke to him. So I can totally agree. It was a lovely tour with him, and he's all about numbers. So
he's a lot about numbers.
Yes, very good.
I can count as well, but I'm more about the sort of arty, crafting the character kind of thing.
Yeah.
Roger is very much about numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
still on. Okay.
Probably fine.
Yeah, it's not about the looks. It's maybe mostly about the whiskey, and hopefully
content of character. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and hopefully a little bit about the people making it, obviously.
Yeah.
So very curious. That's what I love about whiskey, just visiting places and seeing how the people and the surroundings influence the character. Yep. So, what do you think makes the biggest impact on your whiskey right now?
On Smögen?
Yeah.
Well, obviously the choice of Smögen being heavily peated, you've got the peat is a massive influence. You will always notice it, and so you can't get past that. Another fact is that obviously we're a young distillery. We started only 15 years ago. So we don't have any old tired casks. So we do have a very sort of fresh cask policy in place, mainly first fill, and to some extent then second fills from previous bottlings that we've done and reused the casks.
Yeah. So heavily peated, intense cask influence. It sounds like a very intense and flavorful
It is a very flavorful profile by design, because I want to make a big impact. When you taste a Smögen or an Askeim, which is our other brand, the intention is to leave an impression. You should remember that you've tried a Smögen, not just any whiskey.
Yeah, but that's your unpeated version.
This is lightly peated, but lightly peated or unpeated, while Smögen is always heavily peated.
Do you think is it hard for you to make an unpeated whiskey when you have a heavily peated setup?
The cut points will differ. The malt obviously differs a lot. So it's a matter of knowing what you're doing and being willing to change your mindset. It's not that different. You've got the same decisions to take, but you have to do it differently in order to get a good product.
You mind if I have a little smell from this one?
Go ahead. That's actually the second batch.
I actually meant the bottle, but if there's a glass, I'll use a glass.
Yeah. So. That's the second batch of Askeim. So it's 8 years old, based on Golden Promise barley, triple distilled.
Okay, interesting.
And matured for 8 years full time in second fill Oloroso octaves, so 50-liter casks.
Yeah.
So it's a very nice product. Yeah. The inspiration, by the way, for Askeim with these old barley strains like Golden Promise and Marisotta did come from one of my loves, which was old Clynelish.
Oh yeah, I love Clynelish.
Which we now know as Brora, obviously.
Yeah.
That fat, oily, very malty and distillate forward whiskey is just lovely. So that's kind of what I'm aspiring to with Askeim.
Very interesting. I think there's a good reason why I usually do tasting videos and interviews separately, because as soon as I smell whiskey, my mind goes to, I'm in the zone now, I don't want to think about anything else.
I kind of know what you mean.
Yeah, it's very interesting. There is a very specific aroma that I can't really pinpoint. It's not figs, but it's something a bit dried and very berry-ish kind of flavor.
You do have fruitiness coming both from the distillate. Very heavy malty notes from the Golden Promise, and then obviously the sherry casks will help with a certain amount of fruitiness as well.
So this is a mixed video this time, interview drinking. Oh, it's very tasty.
Which is fine.
Yeah, a lot of berries. That's a bit like the type of aromas that I usually get from small casks, like octaves. Yeah. These will give a lot of these very intense marmalade-ish, berry-ish notes.
Yeah. This is actually the second time we used those specific casks, because we did a bottling, obviously, 8 or 9 years ago, called Smögen Sherry Octaves from the casks, and that was matured for only 4 years.
Yeah.
But that was the first fill, and boy, was that.
They go quick.
Cask forward, very much so. So actually, personally, I prefer from such small casks, sherry casks or other very active wine casks to have the second fill, because that would give you more room for the distillate to shine.
Usually, I'm not a big fan of octaves, to be honest, because I also feel like they quickly overpower the spirit, and I don't really like that too much. This is a very interesting one.
Yeah,
quite like that.
Second fill, you run a much lower risk of overpowering, but you certainly get a different kind of maturation profile or movement, if you want, from very small casks such as octaves compared to normal sized casks like barrels and hogsheads and butts.
Cool, interesting.
Yeah.
So. I'm actually not sure. I visited like over 110 distilleries now, and I'm not sure if I actually met a one-man distillery, like literally one person making the whole whiskey.
Have you been to Daft Mill?
Not yet, no. I haven't been to that. No.
That's another one-man distillery.
Yeah, yes, that's
Francis.
True. Yeah,
and he actually grows the barley as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you have to be a bit crazy to make whiskey in general. But what was your biggest challenge when you started making whiskey here?
Well, I've been interested in whiskey for over 30 years. And so I had gathered the knowledge through contacts in Scotland.
Yeah.
But I'd say the biggest challenge, because we were only the third whiskey distillery actually starting in Sweden, because 30 years ago there was actually a ban on private ventures distilling in Sweden. And then we entered, thankfully, the European community at the time, now the European Union, and that ban was lifted.
Yeah.
So Mackmyra obviously was first to come out of the blocks. I think they actually managed a few distillations late in 1999. Second one was Spirit of Ven in 2008, and we were the third ones in 2010. So basically our authorities do get some sort of panic attack when it comes to alcohol, because the duty revenue is extremely high in Sweden, and anything that has to do with warehousing and stocking alcohol makes them extremely nervous. So
that's what
I mean,
feel like.
handling the authority side was a bit of a challenge. Although it does help that I was and still am actually a lawyer by profession.
Okay, that helps.
That helps. So I've got no problem producing very long documents.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
So just recently, if I understood it correctly, there was a change in law. Like in Sweden, you can only buy high volume alcohol in the Systemmonopolet, is that the correct
Systembolaget.
Okay, almost.
Norway, it's called Vinmonopolet, so you actually mixed the two together.
Okay. I just came from Norway, so it's kind of a mix in my head.
Yeah.
So it's one place where you can buy alcohol, but you cannot buy alcohol in the supermarket or any other shop.
No, but there was a new law coming into effect on the 1st of June this year, and we actually got the license to sell our own products, which we couldn't do before, last Friday. So day before last, on Thursday this week, we actually sold the first few bottles.
Congratulations.
And it's very limited. You can only buy 0.7 liters. Our bottles here are half-liter bottles, so we've actually got small 20 cls as well, so you can fill your quota. But you have to take part in a paid tour or tasting before you're allowed to buy basically one bottle.
So there's a whole protocol to follow before you can actually buy whiskey on site in the distillery.
A whole protocol, and the administration behind this is just super annoying and nightmarish.
Yeah, but it sounds like at least some things are changing right now, and now you are allowed to sell whiskey on site, correct?
Yes.
Cool.
We are.
Yes, it certainly felt like driving through Sweden and Norway with the focus of whiskey and whiskey distilleries, that these countries make it very, very complicated for people to make alcohol here.
Indeed.
So
indeed.
That sounds like it. We already talked about size and output. On the tour you said you roughly aim for 10,000 liters a year?
At least 10,000 liters, typically just north of that.
Yeah. So micro craft distillery.
Yeah, very much
we can call it. Yeah. If you would, we already talked about a little bit about other distilleries, like your inspiration of Scotland and Scottish distilleries. If you have like a golden ticket and you could get or buy for free a Scotch distillery to accompany Smøgen, which one would that be?
Well, I've actually helped design in part and create whiskey at Ardnahoe Distillery at Islay. So I'd have to pick that one.
You have to
wouldn't I?
Yeah. Certainly, yeah. Sounds like a good company also, because they're the only ones using warm tubs on Islay right now, as far as I know. So
that's not a coincidence.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. So yeah, so Ardent Hall would be your partner distillery in Scotland.
Yes.
If you would pick a world whiskey distillery, so not Sweden, not Scotland, and not Ireland.
I've always liked the ethos expressed by Jean Donnet at Glenarmore while he was running it.
Yes.
Apart from that, I must say I'm quite impressed by some of the whiskies coming out of both Amrut and Kavalan. There are some really good Australians as well.
Yeah.
Although it's very difficult to follow what happens in Australia.
Absolutely.
Because we get very few of the whiskies over here.
Yeah.
And they're usually very expensive once they get here.
Yeah.
Much like our whiskey probably would be ending up in Australia. So, yeah.
So you would go for what is now called the Celtic Whisky Company if you could get it, basically. Yeah. That's a very, very good pick. It's one of my favorite distilleries in Europe right now, next to Waregem and also in Brittany. Yeah. But I really like the profile of Cornock and
incidentally also Wormtops.
Yeah. So great whiskey coming from Brittany.
Yeah.
Also Tasmania. It's one of the, for me, most curious regions where I cannot go right now because it's just too far away.
Yeah.
But very interesting.
It's a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, if you could change one thing about your whiskey, what would that be?
Having more distilled back in 2010 and 11.
Okay.
Because obviously we've had to use the first vintages to make the bottlings that took us to where we are now.
Yeah.
Which means that the first vintages are fairly depleted.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, if you start a whiskey distillery, produce as much as you can once you know what you want to distill. Just produce it at a maximum pace from the start.
So
because you will always want to have more.
Yeah. When you have your profile that you want, then it would be great to have a lot of that in the beginning. Yeah. Okay. That's a good answer. Yeah, I can get that. If you think about your whiskey in one word.
Characterful.
Awesome. I can't wait. And my last question, why should people buy a smoking whiskey?
Basically a variation on the same word. Because if you like whiskey, you will probably like having the whiskey making a real impression on you. Having character, if you will. I mean, all whiskeys have character, but I mean having character in capital, bold letters. It should make an impression, and perhaps you don't like it, and that's fine, but you should always remember that you've had a Smögen. Not just any other whiskey, you had a Smögen.
I like that quote. You might not like it, but you should remember that you had that particular whiskey. That's a very good answer. Okay, Per.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you and to look around the distillery. And I can't wait to try the peated version. I might do that in a separate video. And if you can get your hands on a Smögen and try it, I definitely recommend it. Even the unpeated version already was very, very curious. So if you're interested in nerdy peated whiskey from Sweden, Smögen is your pick. And I'll see you down the road.